The UNS Thunderhawk moved silently through the darkness of space. Captain Jiwon Park sat in her command chair, watching the stars on the main screen. She had been a captain for 5 years now, but the beauty of deep space still amazed her. Behind her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. "Captain, I'm detecting something strange," said Lieutenant Hajun Kim from the weapons station. His voice was calm but curious. "There are unusual readings near the Void's Edge Nebula." Jiwon leaned forward. "What kind of readings?" "Gravimetric distortions. Very large ones. Something is coming out of subspace." Before Jiwon could respond, the space in front of them began to ripple like water. Suddenly, ships appeared. Not just 1 or 2, but 30 massive alien vessels. They were sleek and beautiful, covered in glowing lights that pulsed like living things. Each ship was 3 times larger than the Thunderhawk. "Battle stations," Jiwon said quietly. Around her, the crew moved faster. Red lights began flashing throughout the ship. Chief Engineer Mira Choi's voice came through the speakers. "Captain, all systems are ready. Shields are at full power." Dr. Soo-hyun Lee rushed onto the bridge. She was the ship's expert on alien life, and her eyes were wide with excitement and fear. "Captain, this is it. This is first contact with an alien species." "Let's hope they're friendly," Commander Dae-ho Yoon said from his station. He was Jiwon's second in command, and he always worried about everything. "Those are a lot of ships." The communication system suddenly crackled to life. A harsh, grinding voice filled the bridge. The words were translated by the ship's computer, but the tone was clear. It was not friendly. "Primitive creatures, you have entered space controlled by the Vraltesh Collective. You will submit to our authority immediately. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your destruction. You have 1 hour to comply." The bridge fell silent. Jiwon felt her heart beating faster, but she kept her face calm. She had trained for this moment, though she never thought it would actually happen. "Dr. Lee, can we communicate with them?" Jiwon asked. Soo-hyun nodded quickly and moved to the communication panel. Her fingers flew over the controls. "Opening a channel, Captain." Jiwon stood up from her chair. She wanted to appear confident, even though the aliens probably couldn't see her. "This is Captain Jiwon Park of the United Nations ship Thunderhawk. We come in peace. We did not know this space was claimed by anyone. We are explorers, not invaders. Can we discuss this peacefully?" There was a moment of silence. Then the alien voice returned, but this time it was laughing. The sound was terrible, like metal scraping against metal. "You speak of peace, but you are nothing. We have scanned your vessel. It is primitive and weak. You have no choice but to surrender. We have destroyed thousands of ships stronger than yours. This is not a negotiation. This is a command." On the main screen, 3 of the alien ships began moving toward the Thunderhawk. Their weapons started glowing with a bright blue light. Hajun checked his console. "Captain, they're powering up their weapons. Those look like plasma cannons, very powerful." Dae-ho turned to Jiwon. "Captain, we're outnumbered 30 to 1. Maybe we should consider—" "No," Jiwon said firmly. She looked at each member of her crew. "Humanity did not come to the stars to bow down to bullies. We came to explore and meet others as equals. If they won't respect that, then they need to learn something about us." Soo-hyun looked worried. "Captain, if we fight, we could start a war with their entire empire." Jiwon nodded slowly. "I know. But if we surrender now, we tell them that humans are weak and easy to control. That's not who we are. That's not who we've ever been." She sat back down in her chair. "Open a channel again, Dr. Lee." When the channel opened, Jiwon spoke clearly and calmly. "Vraltesh ships, this is your final warning. We do not want to fight you, but we will not surrender. Leave this area now, and no one needs to get hurt. If you attack us, you will regret it." The alien response was immediate. "You dare threaten us? You are insects. We will crush you and use your ship for scrap metal." The 3 alien cruisers fired their plasma weapons. Bright blue beams of energy shot toward the Thunderhawk at incredible speed. "Brace for impact," Dae-ho shouted. The plasma beams hit the Thunderhawk's shields. The crew waited for the terrible sound of the hull being torn apart, but nothing happened. The ship didn't even shake. Mira's voice came through the speakers and she sounded almost amused. "Graviton shields holding at 97%. Their weapons barely scratched us, Captain." On the main screen, Jiwan could see the alien ships. They had stopped moving. She imagined the confusion and panic on their bridges right now. Hajun was grinning. "They're firing again, Captain, full power this time. All 3 ships." The plasma beams hit again, even stronger than before. The Thunderhawk's shields glowed briefly, then returned to normal. "Shields at 95%, Mira reported. "Captain, I don't think they can hurt us. Their weapons are designed for energy shields, not graviton fields. The energy just slides around us." Jiwan allowed herself a small smile. Well, they had their chance to leave peacefully. Lieutenant Kim, target their weapons and engines only. Disable those 3 ships. Let's show them what human engineering can do. "Yes, Captain." Targeting solutions locked. Firing railguns. The Thunderhawk's main weapons activated. Unlike the flashy alien plasma cannons, the human railguns were almost invisible. They fired solid tungsten rods accelerated to 80% of light speed. The projectiles were so fast that the aliens never saw them coming. 3 shots. 3 perfect hits. The alien cruisers suddenly went dark. Their engines stopped glowing. Their weapons powered down. They were floating in space, completely helpless. The bridge crew stared at the screen in amazement. It had taken less than 5 seconds. "Direct hits on all 3 targets," Hajun reported, his voice full of pride. "Their weapons and engines are destroyed, but their life support is intact. No casualties." Jiwan stood up again. "Open a channel to the entire alien fleet." When Suhyun nodded, Jiwan spoke with a voice full of quiet strength. "Vraltesh Collective, listen carefully. We did not want this fight. We came in peace. But you chose to attack us. You assumed we were weak because you didn't understand our technology. That was your mistake, not ours." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We have disabled 3 of your ships without killing anyone. We could have destroyed them, but we chose mercy. Now you have a choice. You can leave our space immediately, or you can continue this fight. But understand this. If you continue, we will defend ourselves with everything we have. And I promise you, you have not seen what we are truly capable of." On the screen, the alien fleet was moving. The remaining ships were forming up into attack formation. Clearly, they had made their choice. Jiwan sat down. "All hands, this is the captain. Battle stations. Prepare for full combat operations. Show them why you don't threaten Earth's children." The Thunderhawk's weapons came fully online. Deep in the ship's engine room, Mira pushed the reactors to full power. On the bridge, Hajun's fingers danced across his console, locking onto target after target. The alien fleet charged forward, all their weapons firing at once. The space between the 2 forces filled with plasma beams and energy missiles, but the Thunderhawk did not run. It did not hide. Captain Jiwan Park and her crew prepared to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Humanity had arrived among the stars, and they would not be pushed around. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. The space around the Thunderhawk exploded with color and light. 27 alien ships fired everything they had at the single human vessel. Plasma beams, energy missiles, and particle weapons all converged on one target. It looked like the Thunderhawk would be destroyed in seconds. But Captain Jiwan Park sat calmly in her chair, watching the tactical display. "Mira, status report on the shields." Chief Engineer Mira Choi's voice was steady. "Shields holding at 89%, Captain. Their weapons are powerful, but they're still using energy-based attacks. The graviton field is deflecting most of it." Lieutenant Hajun Kim looked up from his weapons console. "Captain, I have firing solutions on all targets." "Waiting for your order." Jiwan nodded. "Fire at will, Lieutenant. Disable as many as possible. Try to avoid destroying them completely." "Understood, Captain. Firing now." The Thunderhawk's railguns opened up. The weapons fired solid metal rods at incredible speeds. Each projectile was about the size of a person's arm, but it moved so fast that it hit with the force of a nuclear bomb. The kinetic energy alone was devastating. The first alien ship to be hit was a large cruiser near the front of their formation. The tungsten rod punched through its shields like they weren't even there. The projectile went straight through the ship's engine section. Explosions rippled across the alien vessel as its power systems failed. The ship went dark and began drifting. One down, Hajun reported. Targeting the next ship. The Thunderhawk fired again and again. Each shot was precise and calculated. The human weapons didn't waste energy on flashy displays or wide-area attacks. Every round hit exactly where it was supposed to hit. Engines, weapons, shield generators. Critical systems were destroyed while life support remained intact. Commander Daeho Yoon was watching the alien fleet's movements. Captain, they're trying to surround us. They're adapting their formation. Let them come, Ji-won said. Helm, keep us moving. Don't let them pin us down. Mira, what's our status? All systems green, Captain. The shields are actually getting more efficient as they calibrate to the enemy weapons. We're now at 92% and rising. The reactors are running at only 60% capacity. We have plenty of power in reserve. On the main view screen, another alien ship exploded into darkness as its engines were destroyed. Then another. The Thunderhawk was surrounded by enemy vessels, but it moved through them like a shark through a school of fish. Fast, precise, deadly. Dr. Soo-hyun Lee was monitoring the alien communications. Her face was pale. Captain, you need to hear this. I'm translating their command channel. Ji-won nodded and Soo-hyun put the audio through the bridge speakers. What they heard made several crew members gasp. The alien voices were panicked and confused. How is this possible? Our weapons aren't working. Their shields are unlike anything in our database. The energy just bends around their ship. Squad Commander, we've lost 8 ships. They're using solid projectiles traveling at relativistic speeds. Our shields can't stop them. Retreat. We need to retreat and regroup. But another voice cut through the panic. It was harsh and angry. This is War Commander Krell. There will be no retreat. We outnumber them. Continue the attack. Concentrate all fire on their engines. The alien fleet tried to follow their commander's orders. They focused all their weapons on the back of the Thunderhawk, trying to destroy its engines and leave it helpless in space. Mira's voice came through again. Captain, they're concentrating fire on our rear shields. Smart move, actually. But the shields are compensating. We're at 84% in the rear section, but that's still more than enough. Ji-won made a decision. Lieutenant Kim, time to show them our missile systems. Full spread, electronic warfare package included. Hajun grinned. This was what he had been waiting for. Yes, Captain. Launching missiles now. Panels on the Thunderhawk's hull opened up. Hundreds of small missiles launched out in all directions. They were tiny compared to the alien ships, each one no bigger than a person. But each missile had its own guidance system and a small but powerful warhead. The missiles didn't fly in straight lines. They twisted and turned, dodging the alien point defense fire. Some missiles split into even smaller pieces, creating dozens of false targets. The alien sensors couldn't tell which signals were real missiles and which were decoys. More importantly, the missiles carried electronic warfare packages. As they got close to the alien ships, they began broadcasting interference signals. The alien communications network started breaking down. Ships couldn't coordinate with each other anymore. Their sensors showed false readings. Some ships accidentally locked onto friendly vessels instead of the Thunderhawk. Then the missiles started hitting. Small explosions blossomed across the alien fleet as missiles found their targets. Weapon systems exploded. Sensor arrays shattered. Shield generators overloaded. 15 enemy ships disabled, Daeho reported. The remaining 12 are breaking formation. They don't know what to do. Ji-won watched as the alien fleet fell apart. Ships were colliding with each other as their coordination failed. Some were trying to run. Others were still trying to fight but hitting their own allies by mistake. It was chaos, Captain, Soo-hyun said quietly. They're calling us demons. They think we're using cursed weapons. They've never seen anything like our tactics. Ji-won felt a heavy weight in her chest. She hadn't wanted this fight. But the aliens had given her no choice. Open a channel. Let me speak to their commander. When the channel opened, Ji-won spoke clearly. War Commander Krell, this is Captain Park. Stop this now. You've lost. You can save the rest of your fleet if you withdraw immediately. There was silence for a moment. Then the harsh alien voice responded. This time it wasn't arrogant. It was confused and frightened. What are you? How is a single primitive ship defeating our entire fleet? This is impossible. We are human, Ji-won said simply. And we are not primitive. We are different. We don't use your energy weapons because we found better solutions. We don't use your tactics because we learned hard lessons in our own wars. You assumed you were superior because you didn't understand us. That was your fatal mistake." She paused, then continued. "Our planet was not kind to us, Commander. We had to fight for everything. We fought each other for thousands of years. We learned every possible way to survive and to win. When we reached the stars, we brought all that knowledge with us. We didn't want to use it against others, but we will if we must." Another alien ship went dark as the Thunderhawk's weapons found their mark. "You have 10 seconds to order a full retreat," Jiwan said. "If you do, I will stop firing. Your disabled ships will be spared and your people will live. If you continue fighting, I will destroy every single ship in your fleet. Choose now, Commander." On the tactical display, Jiwan could see the alien flagship. It was larger than all the others, hanging back from the main battle. That's where War Commander Krell was hiding, she realized. Giving orders while his people died. The seconds ticked by, 5, 6, 7, all ships. Krell's voice suddenly boomed through the communication channel. "Emergency retreat. Full power to engines. Escape vector Theta 9. Move now." The remaining alien ships that could still move immediately turned and ran. Their faster-than-light drives activated, and one by one they vanished into subspace. Within 30 seconds, the battle was over. The Thunderhawk floated alone in space, surrounded by 15 disabled alien vessels. The crews were alive, but trapped on their powerless ships. Ji-1 let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Stand down from battle stations. Lieutenant Kim, excellent shooting. You managed to disable every ship without killing anyone. That takes real skill." Ha-Jun looked proud, but also a bit shaken. "Thank you, Captain. I've never fired on a living target before. Only in simulations. None of us have," Ji-1 said quietly. "Deho, organize rescue operations for the disabled alien ships. Make sure they have life support and supplies. We'll contact their government about retrieving them." "Yes, Captain," Deho said. "That's very generous considering they tried to kill us." Ji-1 stood up and looked at her crew. "We showed them our strength. Now we show them our humanity. That's just as important." War Commander Krell stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the reports in disbelief. His hands were shaking. Around him, his officers worked in silence, afraid to speak. They had just witnessed something impossible. 30 ships, Krell whispered. "We attacked with 30 ships, and one primitive vessel defeated us all." Overseer Thane, the fleet's science advisor, approached carefully. He was an old Vraltesh with dark blue skin and 4 eyes. Those eyes had seen many battles, but nothing like this. "Commander, I've analyzed the battle data. Their technology is not more advanced than ours in most ways, but it's different. They've designed everything specifically for combat. Their shields use gravitational manipulation instead of energy barriers. Their weapons are simple kinetic projectiles but accelerated to near light speed. It's brutally effective." Krell slammed his hand on the console. "How could we not know about them?" "We have scouts across this entire sector. The humans are new to deep space," Thane explained. "They've only been beyond their home system for a few decades. We simply didn't know they existed until now." Another officer approached. He looked terrified. "Commander, the disabled ships are reporting that the humans are sending help. They're providing life support equipment and medical supplies. They're treating our wounded." Krell's 4 eyes widened. "What? Why?" "We attacked them!" "I don't know, Commander. Perhaps they are trying to appear merciful before demanding surrender terms." But that didn't make sense to Krell. In his experience, conquerors didn't help their defeated enemies. They took what they wanted and left the rest to die. The humans were different, and that frightened him even more than their weapons. "Set course for home," Krell ordered. "The High Council needs to hear about this immediately. And send out warnings to all Vraltesh ships. Avoid human space at all costs until we understand what we're dealing with." The journey home took 3 days. 3 days of humiliation as other Vraltesh ships saw their damaged fleet limping back to their territory. 3 days of Krell trying to figure out how to explain this disaster to the High Council. When they finally arrived at the Vraltesh homeworld, Krell was immediately summoned before the council. The grand chamber was enormous, with seats for all 50 council members arranged in a circle around the center. There, Krell stood alone, feeling very small. Grand Arbiter Vex sat in the highest seat. She was ancient, with pale silver skin and eyes that seemed to see through everyone. She had led the Vraltesh collective for over 100 years. "War Commander Krell." Her voice echoed through the chamber. "You left our space with 30 warships. You return with 15, all damaged. And you bring tales of defeat at the hands of an unknown species. Explain yourself, Krell told them everything. The appearance of the human ship. The initial confrontation. The battle. The impossible shields. The devastating weapons. The electronic warfare. The mercy shown to disabled ships. The council members listened in silence, their expressions growing more concerned with each detail. When Krell finished, the chamber erupted in conversation. Council members argued with each other, their voices rising. This is impossible. One ship cannot defeat 30. He must be lying to cover his incompetence. Our technology is supreme. We've conquered 40 species. Grand Arbiter Vex raised one hand and silence fell immediately. War Commander, you say these humans used kinetic weapons traveling at relativistic speeds. Our shields were designed to stop energy weapons. Did no one think to defend against solid matter? Krell lowered his head. No, Arbiter. We abandoned kinetic weapons thousands of years ago when we developed plasma technology. We thought they were primitive and inefficient. But the humans proved otherwise, Vex said quietly. They took something old and made it devastating by applying new methods. They thought differently than we did. Overseer Thane stepped forward. Arbiter, if I may speak? Vex nodded. I have studied their tactics extensively. The humans come from what they call a death world. Their home planet has extreme weather, dangerous predators, and limited resources. Their entire history is one of constant warfare between their own tribes and nations. They've spent thousands of years developing better ways to fight and survive. Thane activated a display showing Earth. The blue and green planet looked peaceful, but the data told a different story. They have fought with swords, spears, arrows, guns, bombs, chemical weapons, and atomic weapons. They've nearly destroyed themselves multiple times. But each time they survived and learned. When they finally reached space, they brought all that knowledge with them. Every weapon, every tactic, every strategy has been tested and proven in actual combat. A council member spoke up. But surely we can adapt. We can modify our shields to stop kinetic weapons. We can develop countermeasures, perhaps, Thane said. But that will take time. And remember, we only fought one of their ships. We don't know how many they have. We don't know what other weapons they possess. The ship they showed us might be their weakest vessel. That thought sent a chill through the chamber. Grand Arbiter Vex stood up. This situation is unprecedented. We have 3 options before us, she raised one finger. First, we could mobilize our entire military force. Gather every ship we have and crush the humans through sheer numbers. But this would be costly. We might lose hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. And if we fail, our entire civilization would be vulnerable to our other enemies. A second finger. Second, we could establish a containment zone. Keep our distance from human space and observe them. Develop new weapons and tactics while monitoring their movements. This is safer but allows them time to grow stronger. A third finger. Third, we could pursue diplomatic contact. Approach them not as conquerors but as equals. Negotiate a peace treaty and establish trade relations. This would be seen as weakness by some, but it might be the wisest path. The council chamber fell silent as everyone considered these options. Strategic Counselor Dren, a younger Vreltesh known for his clever mind, spoke carefully. Arbiter, we must also consider the political implications. We have 40 species under our control. If word spreads that a single human ship defeated our fleet, some may see it as a sign of weakness. Rebellions could start. Word has already spread, Vex said grimly. Our communication channels are not as secure as we thought. Half the galaxy probably knows by now. The question is, how do we respond? War Commander Krell found his voice again. Arbiter, I recommend caution. The human Captain Park, she gave us multiple chances to retreat peacefully. She disabled our ships rather than destroying them. She provided aid to our survivors. These are not the actions of a bloodthirsty conqueror. Perhaps they can be reasoned with. Several council members looked shocked that Krell was suggesting diplomacy rather than revenge. You would negotiate with those who humiliated you? One council member asked. I would negotiate with those who could have killed us all but chose mercy instead. Krell replied. That shows wisdom and restraint. Those are qualities we can work with. Grand Arbiter Vex nodded slowly. War Commander Krell, you have shown wisdom today. Perhaps your defeat was not entirely in vain. You have learned something valuable about our enemy, or perhaps our potential ally. She addressed the entire council. We will pursue option 3. I will send a diplomatic mission to human space. We will approach them with respect and propose a treaty. but we will also begin defensive preparations. We will modify our shields and weapons. We will be ready if diplomacy fails." She looked directly at Krell. "And you, War Commander, will accompany the diplomatic mission. You will tell the humans exactly what happened and why we now seek peace. You will show them that the Vraltesh can learn from their mistakes." Krell bowed deeply. "Yes, Arbiter. I will do as you command." As the council meeting ended, Overseer Thane approached Krell quietly. "Do you think they will accept our diplomatic overture?" Krell thought about Captain Park's face on the view screen. Her calm voice. Her offer of mercy even in victory. "I think they will listen. Whether they trust us is another matter. We must prove we've changed." Far across space aboard the Thunderhawk, Captain Jiwan Park was writing her report to Earth Command. She had just changed humanity's future forever, and she knew it. The question was whether that change would lead to peace or to more war. Only time would tell. Her ready room reviewing the latest intelligence reports. The small office was simple and clean with just a desk, a few chairs, and a large window showing the stars outside. The door chimed, and Commander Deho Yoon entered. "Captain, you need to see this. We just received a message from Earth Command." Jiwan took the datapad he offered and read quickly. Her eyes widened. "They're coming here? The Vraltesh are sending a diplomatic ship?" "Yes, Captain. They've requested permission to enter human space. They want to meet with our diplomatic corps, and they specifically asked for you to be present." Jiwan leaned back in her chair. "Interesting. I expected them to either ignore us or come back with a larger fleet." "Diplomacy is a surprise. Admiral Hyejin Nam thinks it's genuine," Deho said. "Earth Command has been monitoring Vraltesh communications. There's been a lot of internal debate in their government. Some want revenge, but their leaders seem to prefer peace. Or they're buying time to prepare a bigger attack," Jiwan said thoughtfully. "We need to be careful. Set up a meeting point at the border station. Full security protocols. I want the Thunderhawk and 2 other ships present." "Already arranged, Captain. The UNS Guardian and UNS Sentinel will join us. Minister Borashin is coming from Earth to lead the negotiations." 2 weeks later, the meeting station was ready. It was a small facility right on the edge of human-controlled space, built quickly for this exact purpose. The station was neutral ground, with equal areas for both sides. Captain Jiwan Park stood in the main conference room, wearing her formal uniform. Beside her were Minister Bora Shin, a skilled diplomat with silver hair and sharp eyes, and several other human officials. Through the large window they could see the Thunderhawk floating nearby, ready for any trouble. "They're approaching now," an officer announced. On the view screen, a Vraltesh diplomatic ship appeared. It was smaller than their warships, sleek and decorated with peaceful symbols. It moved slowly, broadcasting friendship codes on all channels. Minister Shin smiled slightly. "Well, at least they're trying to appear friendly. Captain Park, you've met them in battle. What do you think?" Jiwan studied the ship carefully. "I think they're scared, Minister. They wouldn't be here if they weren't. But fear can make people do smart things or stupid things. We'll see which they choose." The Vraltesh ship docked with the station. Security sensors showed 5 aliens coming aboard, all unarmed. There was a brief medical scan to check for diseases or weapons. Then they were escorted to the conference room. The doors opened, and the Vraltesh delegation entered. Leading them was Ambassador Terran, a tall Vraltesh with deep purple skin and calm, intelligent eyes. Behind him walked War Commander Krell, looking uncomfortable in diplomatic robes instead of his military armor. Jiwan recognized Krell immediately. This was the commander who had ordered the attack on her ship. Now he stood in her conference room, unarmed and requesting peace. Ambassador Terran spoke first, his voice translated by both their technology and human computers. "Captain Park, Minister Shin, thank you for agreeing to meet with us. I am Ambassador Terran, representative of the Vraltesh High Council. This is War Commander Krell, who has information to share about our previous encounter." Minister Shin gestured to the chairs. "Please sit. We have much to discuss." As everyone sat down, there was an awkward silence. Then Krell spoke, his voice heavy with shame. "Captain Park, I owe you an apology. I approached your ship with arrogance and hostility. I assumed you were weak because I didn't understand you. I was wrong, and my people paid the price for my mistake." Jiwan was surprised by the honesty. "War Commander, you followed your orders and your training. I don't hold personal hatred for you. But your government needs to understand that humanity will defend itself. We understand that now, Ambassador Terran said. The High Council has analyzed your technology and tactics. We recognize that you are a formidable species. More importantly, we recognize that you could have destroyed our entire fleet, but chose mercy instead. That mercy is why we're here today. Minister Shin leaned forward. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador? A treaty, Terran said simply. Clear borders between our territories. A promise of non-aggression from both sides, diplomatic relations and cultural exchange, and most importantly, mutual respect. That sounds reasonable, Minister Shin said. But we have concerns. The Vraltesh Collective controls many other species, some by force. We've heard reports of oppression and exploitation. The room grew tense. This was the difficult part. Ambassador Terran nodded slowly. You are correct. The Collective has not always treated other species fairly. We conquered them and ruled them, believing it was our right as the superior civilization. But meeting humanity has made us question those beliefs. Why? G1 asked bluntly. Because we beat you in a fight? Because you showed us a different way, Krell answered. You could have killed us all. Instead, you helped our wounded. You sent supplies to our disabled ships. You treated us with dignity even in defeat. That is not how conquerors behave. That is how honorable people behave, Terran continued. The High Council is beginning reforms. We cannot change everything overnight, but we are giving more autonomy to the species under our control. We are listening to their grievances. It will take time, but we are trying to become better. Minister Shin exchanged glances with Jiwan and the other human officials. This was better than expected, but could they trust it? We'll need guarantees, Minister Shin said. Independent observers. Regular reports on conditions in your territory. And any species that wants independence should be allowed to pursue it peacefully. Ambassador Terran hesitated. That is a significant request. Some in our government will oppose it. Then those in your government need to understand the new reality. Jiwan said firmly. The galaxy is changing. The old way of doing things where the strong simply dominate the weak, that's ending. Humanity won't tolerate it, and I suspect we're not alone in feeling that way. She was right. In the 3 months since the battle, several other species had secretly contacted Earth, asking about possible alliances. The Vraltesh domination of their region was weakening. Ambassador Terran sighed. You are right, Captain. The galaxy is changing, and the Vraltesh must change with it or be left behind. He looked at his data pad. I am authorized to accept your conditions. We will allow independent observers. We will report on our reforms. And we will not prevent peaceful independence movements, though we hope some species will choose to remain with us willingly. Minister Shin smiled. That's a good start, Ambassador. Let's begin drafting the formal treaty. For the next week, diplomats from both sides worked day and night. They argued over every word, every clause, every detail. But slowly a treaty emerged. It was called the Treaty of New Horizons, symbolizing a new beginning for both civilizations. The signing ceremony was broadcast across both human and Vraltesh space. Ambassador Terran and Minister Shin signed first, making it official. Then Captain Jiwan Park and War Commander Krell signed as witnesses, a symbolic gesture of reconciliation. After the ceremony, Krell approached Jiwan privately. Captain, may I ask you something? Of course. When you had us defeated, when you could have destroyed my entire fleet, why did you stop? Why did you show mercy? Jiwan thought carefully before answering. Because mercy is always harder than revenge. Any fool can kill. It takes wisdom to choose peace. My people learned that lesson the hard way, through centuries of war. We destroyed ourselves many times before we finally learned to build instead. She looked Krell in the eyes. We didn't come to the stars to be conquerors, Commander. We came to be explorers, but we brought our weapons because we know the universe can be dangerous. We hoped we'd never need them. When your fleet attacked, we defended ourselves. But that doesn't mean we wanted to kill you. Krell bowed his head. Your people are wise, Captain. I hope the Vraltesh can learn from your example. As the Vraltesh delegation prepared to leave, Ambassador Terran had one final message for the humans. Captain Park, Minister Shin, thank you for giving us this chance. I believe this treaty will benefit both our peoples. But I must warn you, not everyone in the galaxy will be happy about this new alliance. There are other powers out there, some even more dangerous than the Vraltesh ever were. Jiwan nodded. We'll be ready, Ambassador. Humanity is good at adapting to challenges. As the Vraltesh ship departed, Minister Shin turned to Jiwon. Captain, you've just helped reshape galactic politics. How does that feel? Jiwon watched the alien ship vanish into faster-than-light travel. It feels like we just took the first step on a very long journey, Minister. I just hope we're ready for where it leads. 5 years had passed since the Battle of Void's Edge. The galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. Captain Jiwon Park, now Admiral Park, stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UNS Resolute. It was one of 40 new battleships that Earth had built, each one more advanced than the Thunderhawk. But today wasn't about war. Today was special. Admiral, we're approaching Earth orbit, reported the helmsman. Jiwon smiled. Take us in slowly. I want to enjoy the view. Through the main view screen, Earth grew larger. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful from space. It was hard to believe that this small world had produced a species now respected and feared across the galaxy. Incoming message from Earth Command, the communications officer announced. Admiral Heejin Nam wants to speak with you. Jiwon's old mentor appeared on the screen. Admiral Nam was older now with more gray in her hair, but her eyes were still sharp. Jiwon, welcome home. How does it feel to be back? Strange, Admiral. I've spent so much time in deep space that Earth feels almost alien now. Nam laughed. I know the feeling. But you're needed here for the ceremony tomorrow, the dedication of the Thunderhawk Memorial. The President herself will be there. Jiwon nodded. The Thunderhawk had been retired from active service and now orbited Earth as a museum. Millions of visitors came every year to see the ship that had changed history. I'll be there, Admiral. Is everyone else coming too? The whole crew, Nam confirmed. Lieutenant Commander Hajun Kim is bringing the Resolute's crew. Dr. Soo-hyun Lee is flying in from the Diplomatic Academy where she's been teaching. Chief Engineer Mira Choi is taking a break from her work at the shipyards. Even Commander Yoon is coming out of retirement. The next morning, Jiwon put on her formal uniform and took a shuttle up to the Thunderhawk. The museum ship looked exactly as it had 5 years ago, preserved perfectly as a reminder of that historic day. Inside the main docking bay, hundreds of people had gathered. Jiwon saw many familiar faces. Hajun waved from across the room, now a captain of his own ship. Mira was talking animatedly with a group of young engineers. Soo-hyun was surrounded by students asking questions. Daeho stood quietly in a corner, looking proud but uncomfortable with all the attention. But there were also unexpected guests. Ambassador Terran was there, representing the Vraltesh Collective. War Commander Krell stood beside him, now retired but still respected. And there were representatives from 7 other alien species, all wearing their formal diplomatic attire. The President of Earth, President Gina Han, stepped to the podium. The room fell silent. 5 years ago, in a distant region of space, humanity faced its greatest test. An alien empire threatened us with destruction. A single ship, this ship, defended our species with courage and skill. What happened that day changed everything. President Han gestured to the Thunderhawk behind her. This vessel represents more than just military might. It represents humanity's determination to exist on our own terms, to be explorers, not conquerors, to seek peace but to defend ourselves when necessary. She looked directly at Jiwon. Admiral Park, would you please come forward? Jiwon walked to the podium, feeling every eye in the room on her. The President continued. Admiral, you and your crew faced an impossible situation. You could have run. You could have surrendered. Instead, you stood your ground and showed the galaxy who we are. On behalf of all humanity, thank you. The room erupted in applause. Jiwon felt her eyes getting wet, but she blinked the tears away. She wasn't one for big displays of emotion. When the applause died down, Jiwon spoke. Thank you, Madam President. But I need everyone to understand something. We didn't win that battle because we were special. We won because we were prepared. Because the people of Earth invested in exploration and defense. Because engineers like Mira designed incredible technology. Because officers like Hajun trained until they were perfect. Because scientists like Soo-hyun taught us to understand others. She paused, looking around the room. And we won because we remembered who we are. Humanity has always been survivors. We came from a difficult world, and we learned to adapt. When we reached the stars, we brought that adaptability with us. That's our real strength, not our weapons. Ambassador Terran approached the podium. May I speak, Admiral? Jiwon stepped aside, and the Vraltesh diplomat addressed the crowd. 5 years ago, my people made a terrible mistake. We assumed humanity was weak because you were unknown to us. We threatened you with violence. Admiral Park and her crew taught us a lesson we will never forget. His voice was heavy with emotion, but the lesson wasn't just about military power. It was about honor and mercy. You defeated us, but you didn't destroy us. You helped our wounded. You gave us a chance to change. And because of that mercy, the Vraltesh Collective is a better civilization today. He turned to face Jiwan directly. Admiral Park, on behalf of my people, thank you. You saved more than just human lives that day. You saved us from ourselves. War Commander Krell stepped forward as well. I led the fleet that attacked you. I believed we were invincible. I was wrong about everything. But Admiral Park showed me that strength without wisdom is just brutality. Today I teach young Vraltesh officers about honor in combat, about respecting your enemies, about choosing peace when possible. And I tell them all about the day a human captain taught me what it means to be a true warrior. The ceremony continued with more speeches and presentations. But the most touching moment came when a group of children approached Jiwan. They were from different species, humans and aliens together. A young human girl spoke for the group. Admiral Park, we want to be like you when we grow up. We want to explore the stars and make friends with everyone we meet. Jiwan knelt down to their level. Then study hard and be kind to others. The galaxy needs explorers and diplomats just as much as it needs soldiers, maybe more. But what if someone tries to hurt us? A young alien child asked, his large eyes worried. Then you'll be ready just like we were, Jiwan said gently. But always try peace first. Fighting should always be the last choice, not the first. Later that evening, the old Thunderhawk crew gathered in the ship's mess hall, now converted into a museum cafe. They sat around a table sharing stories and laughing about old times. Do you remember when I accidentally locked myself in the engineering bay during the battle? Mira said, laughing. I was so focused on the shields that I didn't realize the door had sealed behind me. And Hajun kept pestering me for permission to fire bigger weapons, Jiwan added with a grin. He wanted to show off. Hajun looked embarrassed but smiled. I was young and excited. Now I'm old and cautious, just like Deho always was. Deho raised his glass. To being cautious. It kept us all alive. To being brave when it mattered, Soo-hyun countered. Raising her own glass, they all drank to that. As the evening wore on, Jiwan stood and walked to the large window overlooking Earth. Hajun joined her after a moment. Do you ever regret it? He asked quietly. Starting all this? Jiwan shook her head. No, we didn't start it. The Vraltesh did when they threatened us. We just responded. And look what came from it. Peace, understanding, cooperation between species. 7 worlds gained their independence peacefully because of the treaty we helped create. 40 new species have made contact with us, most of them friendly. Yes, we made some enemies too, but we made more friends. The Frontier Coalition is growing every year, Hajun agreed. 12 species now, all working together for mutual protection and trade. It's like a mini United Nations, but for the galaxy. That's what I hoped for, Jiwan said. Not human dominance, but human participation. We're part of something bigger now. She looked up at the stars through the window. Somewhere out there, new human ships are exploring new worlds, making new contacts. Some will be friendly, some won't, but they're all carrying the lesson we learned that day at Void's Edge. What lesson? Hajun asked. That we're ready for anything, Jiwan said with a smile. Humanity walked among the stars as explorers. We were tested and proved ourselves as warriors. Now we walk as diplomats and friends to those who accept us, and as defenders to those who threaten us. The galaxy learned that we exist, and we learned that we belong here. She placed her hand on the window, touching the glass between her and the infinite cosmos. We came from Earth, a world that tested us in every way possible. We survived because we never gave up. We reached the stars because we never stopped dreaming, and now the galaxy is our home too. Far below, Earth turned slowly in space, beautiful and peaceful. And far above, among the distant stars, human ships continued their endless journey, exploring and protecting, learning and teaching, making humanity's place in the galaxy a little stronger every day. The age of human isolation was over. The age of humanity among the stars had truly begun. And it all started with one ship, one crew, and one captain who refused to back down when the universe tested her. Admiral Jiwan Park smiled. The future was uncertain, but humanity would face it the same way they always had, together, determined, and ready for anything.